They don't even look the same. Hey. Post it so I get my retirement check. Thank you.
Good evening, City of Opa-locka Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Hereby called to order.
Roll call.
Roll call.
For the record, Board Member Hibbert Smith will not be joining us this evening. Board Member Johnson,
Present.
Board Member Mangum, present. Chairman Guerrero,
Present.
attendance confirmed.
All right, let's stand for the invocation. But
Oh, Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you on one accord, asking for your blessing, your wisdom, your knowledge, as well as your understanding for the betterment of this community. Help us, Lord, to make the right decisions. Help us to be fruitful in our thinking. And Father, in all things, we give you the honor, the glory, and the praise, for you're worthy to be praised. All these things we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
can we have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on May 10, 2022?
I move that we approve the minutes for the meeting on May 10th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, within the packet itself, we did not have the opportunity to get the meeting minutes for the last meeting in place. So we will forego the approval of the meeting minutes at this time.
So when you forego, are you saying that the minutes for May 10th is being deferred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I will second for the deferral, but I also like to put on record. So when we come back for the next meeting, most of my motions in the last meeting was made with modifications. So please make sure to staff that all the inclusive is in the package, and everything else that we asked for is in the package prior to going to the commission for approval. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Believe there's a second for the motion. Roll call or
It's just been deferred.
right for the deferral?
Meeting minutes are deferred. Attorney?
No, there's no need to take a
It-
roll
you
call
don't
on
have
that.
to do
They'll
roll
come
call.
back to you at the next
Yeah.
meeting.
This next meeting.
Thank you. All right, at this moment, I will open up public hearings.
Mr. Chair, before you open up for public hearing, we do have a couple modifications to the agenda. The first two items, items A and B, will need to be deferred. We do have the applicant here who will give you some background information as the reasons for the deferral. But we will need to make those particular modifications known on the record. Also, we do have an opportunity to have a presentation that will be a part of this particular meeting. Mr. Alex David, which is with the firm of Calvin and Giordano. He's with so many different firms. He wants to make a presentation regarding the evaluation and appraisal report process, which is dealing with the comprehensive master plan update. So they are the consultants that will be working with the city on that particular item. So he's going to give us a presentation regarding that.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, just to make sure that I understand, thank you, sir. The two items that are currently on the agenda for us to discuss tonight, you're recommending that they be deferred.
The applicant has asked for them to be deferred.
I mean, staff can only recommend.
Yes.
And your reason for defer is what? Because we deferred the last meeting because the applicant wasn't here. So what is the reason of why staff is asking for deferment for this meeting.
I will have the applicant explain that to you.
Okay, then secondly, it's only 2 items on the agenda. And let me make sure. So how can we hear a presentation and it's not a part of the record?
The
Mr.
presentation is going to be, as it relates to the evaluation and appraisal report, we will be bringing that information back before you as an action item to be addressed at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, then my knowledge and my experience as a former commissioner is that we cannot discuss anything that's not a part of the agenda. So unfortunately, the code does not allow for us, to the board members and to the chair and to staff and to the applicant, to discuss anything that was not publicized prior to. So I feel that, you know, unfortunately, it's moot at this point to discuss that, and I would like to ask for legal sufficiency because I've been down this road, and with my experience of 12 and a half years being on the commission, I cannot, as a sitting member, condone it. So I would like to ask through the chair for legal sufficiency to the attorney.
Sure. Mr. Chair and board members, 2 things. First of all, on the items that are before us, items A and B, I will read those titles into the record so we can hear from the applicant and they'll answer your initial question as to why the request to table those items again is part of the record. In regards to hearing from the consultant on the EAR report, that's on the comprehensive plan. That is information for staff. That is nothing that staff will be taking, or this board will be taking any action on. He's explaining a process. So that's information for this body. It is not an item that you're going to be voting on. That's going to come back to you for a full presentation. So that's more of an update from staff. You don't have to have an agenda. Actually, legally, there's some case law on that. You absolutely should. For any item that you're going to take a vote on, those things have to have an agenda and be noticed. But for informational purposes, staff could give you that information verbally at the end of the meeting. Better practice is to have it noticed in case the public wanted to hear this information. But from my knowledge, and I've not seen the presentation, it's only information for this board to explain the process, to get you prepared for when it comes back before you to actually take action upon.
Okay, so Madam Attorney, let me make sure I understand you correctly. The presentation from the consultant is information,
Correct.
and no way down the line will I be voting on anything that she's speaking about. Is that correct?
It's he. My understanding is it's just information for you guys tonight. That's it. There's no vote, there's no action being requested or required of you on that item. It's solely for informational purposes for this board.
Okay, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I don't feel comfortable. And since we really don't have to vote on it, I'm going to excuse myself. Thank you.
The first item, Mr. Chair, that was on the agenda this evening is a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, recommending site plan review approval for the construction and operation of an industrial and commercial mixed-use retail and warehouse distribution facility on the property located at 12691 Northwest 42nd Avenue and 12705 Northwest 42nd Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054, identified by folios 08212900000050 and 08212900000064 in the B3 zoning district, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Chair, and what was the purpose of reading this if the item has been deferred? What is the purpose of reading the resolution when we're not gonna take no action?
Mr. Chair, if I may, you still have to take action to table this to the next meeting, and you had a question pending for the applicant to answer. For the record, for the public to know which item we're discussing, which item you're going to vote to table, if that's the board's desire, to the next meeting. Now it's in the record what the item is.
And just to be clear, in the future, we will not be voting on what they're going to be saying to us today.
You have two different items. The first one is this item here, the public hearing. You're going to receive an explanation from the applicant
Mhm.
first as to why they are requesting deferment.
Okay.
Then the board will take action on that. You can either defer this or you can vote on it this
Okay.
evening if that's your choice. The second item that staff has raised is there's a gentleman here from Calvin Giordano's firm to do a presentation, to talk to you and give you information about the comprehensive plan. Those are two separate items. Right now, the only thing before you is to receive information from the applicant as to why they're requesting to defer this item again.
So the purpose is to know why it's being deferred, and then we'll take action on the deferment. Okay. That's okay with you, Sheldon?
I ain't never, I've never seen this before. I'm gonna listen.
Good evening, board members. Alessandria Santa Roman with law offices located at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. We are requesting a deferral for items A and B. The reason being is we are still working with the city on some open issues for our application, including the development agreement. And so we're hoping that by the July meeting, date to be announced by staff, that we will be ready to present in front of the board with a complete package in front of you that evening.
So you're still working with the staff on it?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Mr. Chair, based on the information that was shared by the consultant for the applicant, I would like to make a motion to defer the item.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Discussion? Mr. Chair, discussion? So let me make sure I do understand clear. Last meeting, staff alluded that perhaps the item went in front of the commission. This is not the item.
No, it's not.
This is a different item.
Correct.
And it had not gone in front of the commission.
No, it has not.
And so the applicants is in the process of completing, and they need a little more time in order to complete it.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Question? Okay, there's no other discussion.
Call for the question. Roll call.
Oh,
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Mangum,
Yes.
Chairman Guerrero,
yes.
item deferred.
Thank you. And a point of clarification, advertising purposes, will it be announced tonight for the July meeting, or will there be re-advertising?
At this time, the next Planning and Zoning Board meeting is scheduled for July 5th. With it falling so close to a holiday weekend, I'm not sure the board will be at that point ready to sit for a board meeting. I mean, the three that are here could maybe speak for that, but I'm not sure if we would have a full quorum. So that meeting may either occur on the 12th, which will be the following Tuesday.
Okay,
So if we're good with that particular date, I'm throwing that date out now. If the board so wishes to want to make sure that
Yeah,
we
wanna
actually
discuss-
have our meeting on the 12th.
I prefer that.
Through the chair, with the 4th of July being, and which will give the applicant a little more time to gather and get with staff. I think it would be more than fair to say the July 12th meeting will be more feasible for at least the three of us that are here. So with that in mind, now my question to staff, because I'm looking at the timeline, wouldn't this have to be posted again? Because that's a cost effective.
Most
And I
likely,
need it on the record, and for the clerk of the board, I need it to be verbatim.
most likely due to the fact that there are other items that may be put on the agenda, we will probably have to re-advertise everything in order for it to be properly noted.
So I just want to make sure the staff to get with the applicant to make sure it's crystal clear, because this is monies. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, the second item will need to follow the same process, so I'll read the title into the record. A resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, recommending development agreement review approval for the construction and operation of an industrial and commercial mixed-use retail and warehouse distribution facility on the property located at 12691 Northwest 42nd Avenue and 12705 Northwest 42nd Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054, identified by folios 082129 000 0050 and 082129 000 0064 in the B3 zoning district, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. If I may make one comment, that on the motion to defer this item, if we can state in the motion, it's the July 12th date. If there's no need to re-advertise, then we will not. But the applicant is aware that if there's a need to, they will have to absorb those costs for re-advertising this item.
Any discussion with the second item? I'll open it now to public hearing. Close public hearing.
So to the attorney through the chair, it is understanding the same process that was mentioned by the consultant is what we're looking at for this item also.
That is correct. If you want to restate it for the record again, you can state your request for the deferral.
Absolutely. Good evening again. Alessandra Sederman with law offices located at 701 Brickell Avenue. This is in relation to item B. We are working with staff on some open issues and finalizing the development agreement so we can come forward to the board in July, on July 12th, with a full package to present to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
with that being stated, I would like to make a motion that this item be deferred to July 12th of 2022, with the understanding that staff would get with the applicant to make sure that all of our concern for the May 10th meeting is also addressed, because this should be it. Thank you. Need a second?
Second.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Mangum,
Yes.
Chairman Guerrero,
Yes.
item deferred to July 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
like the motion for the
To the board,
Anything new to?
we do have the opportunity for the presentation relating to the evaluation and appraisal report by the consultant.
Mhm.
If you so wish to hear it at this time, we can do so. This is for information only. This is not an item that will be voted upon at this particular point in time. Once they have engaged the city and begun their particular process, that information will be brought back before this board for a recommendation, and then it will proceed from there.
So let me make sure, through the
that-
chair, that I understand. Since we do have one member that's not present now, will it behoove us to hear the presentation now or wait it, because it seemed like it will come back again? I know it's information only, but what would be the benefit with one member being out, not hearing all the information at one time, and it may come again?
The benefit is that we need to actually move forward with this particular project. We are somewhat tardy as it relates to doing the evaluation and appraisal report. And we need to have the consultant to initiate that particular process. We felt that it would be good to have at least an introductory session with the consultant so that you will know what type of work products that he will be working toward, presenting to you when this project is completed, and it needs to be voted on and made recommendation for. Therefore, we wanted to at least have the introduction at this particular point in time.
So is this more of a workshop? Because we can't vote on anything tonight, so I don't see it moving forward. So if it's I'm caught between, I'm on the fence where I know the consultant is here to present to us, but I'm trying to see the added value of hearing it now. You said move forward, but we can't move forward. It's information, and I'm not making a connection.
And it seems like we're gonna be voting on this in a future.
And the
date,
future date.
Which would constitute discussion before the,
Well,
I mean, unless I'm wrong.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, if I may try to help with this.
Yeah.
The consultant's been retained by the city to help with the state mandated required process to update the city's comprehensive plan. This is new to me for this city here. Not saying that this is new. We've had planners previously in other places who actually go through the process Mr. GIORDANO's firm has done. They've done it for many other jurisdictions throughout the state of Florida here. So I think the only thing he's doing this evening is explaining that process to you, which I believe is new to this board. As Mr. Gay is saying, they're behind, they're delinquent on the time frames required by the statute for when you're supposed to have this done. So this process is, let's get this started with the consultant. Let's explain it to you so you understand it, so he can move forward with doing the work to get us compliant with the statutory requirements on this process. It's a very time-consuming process. And so this is why I frame it as this information for you. Once he goes through the entire comp plan and suggests recommended changes to the language or modification or any of those things that may be required to bring the city's code up to statutory compliance, you will see that in the future. Tonight is completely different. It's information. Here's a process we're starting to bring the code consistent with statutory requirements.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. She said the trigger word is the timeline in order to be in compliance. So with that in mind, it behooves us to hear it so that he can go to phase 2.
Yes.
And it's more an introduction. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Alex David, who is with Calvin Giordano. He has been the contractor and the consultant that went through the RFP process for the evaluation and appraisal report. This exercise was actually done about 5-6 months ago, and for some reason, over the period of change in administrations, the timeline got delayed. So we're here now. We want to actually get this moving forward as aggressively as possible. We're actually looking at shortening the actual contractual time period for this particular exercise. And as the attorney did state, this is a requirement by the state in order for us to be in compliance with the state of Florida. Mr. David.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board. Excuse me. Again, my name is Alex David. I'm with Calvin Giordano and Associates with offices at 2103 Coral Way. And again, this is just an informational, get to know you, get the word out to the residents and business owners of Opa-locka. This is the first step. So that's why I'm happy to be here. And if anyone's listening at home, please attend our public meetings when we get to that phase. Next slide, please. So Calvin Giordano and Associates has been in business 85 years, and we are municipal consultants. We work for dozens of cities, and this is not a complete list. And I think you have this in your package. You have this presentation. So I just pulled out some of the cities that we work with throughout South Florida, and there are others, but just wanted to give you a list. And a lot of these cities, we do the zoning and the comprehensive planning and development review. So this is not new to us. And I've been doing this, and Mr. Gay knows, for a very long time. So longer than him, I think, right? So just wanted to show you that we do have the experience. Next slide, please. So I did do several other documents for the city of Opa-locka in 2015. So I've been with the city, and I just wanted to show you what we've done. Again, that was a very tight time frame, and we did 3 documents. First of all, we did the downtown concept plan, which is, I believe it's online for everyone to look at. So it was just focusing on creating a mixed use district in the downtown Opa-locka area and making it more pedestrian friendly and offering more business opportunities and multifamily residential. Another project we did was the land development regulations. It was a total rewrite of your zoning code. So that was also done in 2015, and I was involved very heavily in that. Next slide, please. The last document we worked on in 2015 was the 2030 Sustainable Opa-locka Comprehensive Plan. And that was adopted almost 7 years ago. So again, that was a major overhaul of your comprehensive plan. We got it in really good shape. I think a little more colorful, more jazzy. So that was adopted at that time. So now, based on the state law, we're coming back in to update it. Florida statutes have changed, times have changed, population demographics are a lot of things that we'll be looking at as part of this process. So that's where we're at. So the next slide, please. At the time, we had public engagement workshops in this room. So we came up with, we created a vision, or the citizens and stakeholders of the city came up with a vision to be, the city aspires to be a successful and financially stable full service community. So that was the overarching goal at the time. So as part of our public engagement and visioning process, which we will be doing down the line, we may revisit the vision and see if we need to amend the wording. So next slide, please. So basically, just wanted to, this is the Planning and Zoning 101. The comprehensive plan, any comprehensive plan, is a higher elevation vision of a municipality, the goals, objectives that the citizens or stakeholders want to achieve. So that's what that is. And again, it's goals, objectives, and policies at 30,000 foot level, let's say, for a comprehensive plan. So within that document, there are land use designations that are defined. And sorry, there's a typo. I have village, not what is a future land use designation? I have village, not city. But we just kind of generally break down. May I have the next slide, please? We generally break down what's single family, what's businesses or commercial industrial areas. So next slide. They're shown on a map in your comprehensive plan. So those are kind of more bigger areas that are just very generalized land use designations within the city. So then we're coming down to to a lower level. Next slide, please. The zoning district, which is in your zoning code or land development regulations. So that's not part of what we're doing because we're dealing with the comprehensive plan update. But just to give the difference, the zoning districts are where you have your regulations, your setbacks, your heights, all those kinds of things in the code. So that's the relationship. The higher level is the comp plan, lower level hitting the dirt is the zoning code and the zoning district. The next slide just shows your zoning districts throughout the city. So again, they're more defined and refined with more information in your actual regulations. So next slide, please. So when we kick off this process or project, we're doing a lot of research in the background, but what we need to do is a public outreach or communication, visioning to get a group of people in this room, or we're going to have a website dedicated to this to have allow people to put in any comments they have about the future vision of the city. So we hope to have an interactive process. And like I said, I think it was very successful 7 years ago. We want to continue that success. So we want to be interactive, user-friendly, and inclusive. So we need to get the word out. And that's one of the main reasons I'm here, to have you all spread the word for this project. Also, so when we finally get there and schedule these things, we'll Mr. Gay will announce. So, and we'll do as much as possible to get the word out. Next, okay, that's next slide. Okay, so based on the Florida law, we're going to look at certain things like, climate change and sustainability. We have to add what's called a property rights element. We have to update your water supply plan, which you have, which I actually did 7, 8 years ago. So I'm very familiar with that also. So that has to be updated per state requirements. Are there new economic development or redevelopment opportunities? This is a big focus, and I really would like to focus on that also. And like I said, the Florida statute changes are very important to get in the new document. Next slide, please. So this is, it's kind of hard to read, but we're looking at basically an 8-step process, kicking off, getting the word out, having our data collection, which is behind the scenes, looking at the existing documents and any changes that were made that are not in that document. We're going to put them in the document. We want to have these community outreach meetings, a visioning, and then do our thing, which is change the comprehensive plan as the city and residents see fit to have it updated, and then get it through the process, which in the future, after we're done with all this and we have a draft document, it's going to come back to you to look at, assess, give us our any comments, and then you'll recommend to the full commission whether you like us to recommend adoption or adopt with changes, and that's what we'll do. And then the next step will be to go to the commission for first reading. We send it off to the state for their review. We bring it back and make any changes that they need us to make. Then we get it adopted at second reading, and then we pretty it up and make sure everything's good to go for the next 7 years. So that's basically the process. And next slide, please. And I'm here to answer any questions, and I thank you for putting up with me, and I hope I wasn't too long.
Mr. Chair, I think I was unattended at your
Yeah,
previous.
you were, I
And I
recognize.
looked, I'm like,
Yes.
Miss Alex, okay. So what I would like to suggest strongly is that if there is any possibility of sharing with the city staff and especially the committee, the board, best practices from municipal cities, perhaps of our same size, because in my opinion, the marketing strategy for the city overall needs to be enhanced.
Right.
So marketing is key. We can have the best practice. I know we had the 2020 vision, and I see some of the similarities, but the best practices and the marketing strategy is going to have to be enhanced. So I don't know the role of the city versus the role of the consulting your firm, but I think that's going to be crucial to get that, because we did a community bazaar several times, and the outcome, we got to dust that off and see how, because the climate is changing, but I don't know how the infrastructure builds into this, because we have pockets throughout the city that before we can get to the dream and that vision, some of those items have to be addressed. And I see some alluding to it, but I don't know how it's gonna tie into the comprehensive plan.
Right, so just a quick overview on that subject. the comprehensive plan lays out the vision, and one of the visions is to create more livable, sustainable communities, but that includes mobility, your sidewalks, if they're cracked or the roads are broken or there's no bike lanes, that could be policies within the comprehensive plan. But what you're talking about is in the funding, I think a lot of it's the funding, which is another issue, but that's part of your capital improvements program, or the county, if it's a roadway, a county road or a state road, you know, they would have to fund those improvements, or the city would if it's a city road. So it's kind of different, but all, you know, you have the vision and your comprehensive plan, but that feeds into, you know, getting the work done. And from experience, if you have wording in your comp plan concerning maybe excess, you know, doing these projects and have, you know, words like grants in there, you know, obtaining grants, well, then when the people who give you the money, you know, from grants, they like to see those things. So it feeds into the final project or product, I would say.
I think I'm very in agreement with what you said thus far, but I think my remarks is more for you to hear, but for staff to make sure it's included, because grants are going to be crucial.
Yep,
Your
I agree.
CIP funds is going to be crucial. Your interaction with the CRA is going to be crucial. And you got to bring the dream team together. And I've seen over my years, and I've been involved since '97, that there is a disconnect. And I think it's because of the transition of so many you know, change of management, but the staff is still here. So somehow we, as you come on, it's just a bird's eye view for you to, when y'all are brainstorming, to see how they connect, because if not, this is a waste. And I've gone through at least 3 in my tenure of volunteering in the city, and I don't see that connection, the true connection where you may not have the fund, you bring the vision, but how do you attract those funds? Right. Because for anyone to give you a grant, you got to be able to execute those deliverables.
Right.
And you got to be able to connect the CIP, you got to be able to connect the CRA, you got to be able to connect. And then our job as citizens and the staff is how do you reach out to the businesses and the residential for buy-in? This is crucial. And I think, Mr. Gay, you was an attendant when we met over at Opa-locka CDC with 2020 vision. And we come back and we do it again.
Right.
And the only thing, in my opinion, is date changing. So I'm glad to see, because I did do some research on your, you know, I know y'all been around about 40 some years or more. So you got the experience, but the connection, because our community is changing. And we have to be able to have the mixed usage, because we want to be a tech city perhaps, but we want to be able to gravitate with our infrastructure working, with everything connecting, because the next generation, they want to be able to say, you know what, I want to be able to have safety, live here, have fun, and it all be economically challenged. And I'm very appreciative, because Mr. Gay, you really need to thank the attorney, because she brought you through this one. I had several other questions, but she, I don't know, she brought you through it. So we all got to work as a team, because the teamwork does make the dream work.
Right, but that's why I'm here. I need your help and I need staff's help, and I'll be working with staff and back in front of you, you know, so I want you to get the word out to attend when we schedule these things. It's just really important. I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of these, and 5 people in a room doesn't do anything. We need 500. Not, I don't want 500, but I want, you know, a good turnout.
Right.
And I remember years ago we did for some of these things in this, like I said, in this room. So I'm hoping to get the word out and work with Mr. Gay and the city staff to get this accomplished on our very shortened time frame. So that's the goal.
Thank you. I had a flashback, so thank you.
I did too, a few of them. So yeah, but I'll answer if there are any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Not a question, just a comment. I just wanted to thank you for bringing this to our attention. We sit here sometimes and we are a little skeptical about some of the things that come across our dais, but thank you for the enlightenment.
You're
and
welcome.
I am willing to do my best to make sure that we have participation so that we can get these things accomplished and it's not just lip service
Right.
any longer.
No, we want it done. And like I said, you'll be seeing me a lot over the next 7 months or so, 8 months. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other questions, discussion?
No other questions. I'd just like to thank Mr. David for the presentation and thank all the staff for basically supporting us getting this process moving forward, because it is very important. Thank you, board, for listening.
Mr. Chair, with nothing else on the agenda, I would like to motion for adjournment.
Second,
Roll call?
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Mangum,
yes.
Chairman Guerrero,
Yes.
meeting dismissed. Thank you.